connection where I'm preparing to live stream the meeting. And who does that? Zoom in the API with YouTube. I have nothing to do with it. I just had, to get permission from Zoom to stream live in its part. And I got that working. And then I'll do a Loom, Loom, that I get other features coming on with my Loom. And I'm going to turn off and start recording. 3, 2, 1. And also your participation is important to your group. It's not fair to your group if some people are slacking and not contributing as much. Okay, so welcome. What I'd like to do is talk about some of the next assignments, do some housekeeping, and then talk about hardware today. What are the important issues in hardware and what are our assignments? So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I welcome everybody here. If you have any questions, you can put them into the chat or unmic yourself if it's important. And what do I need to do? I'm going to go to my Chrome and we see ourselves. Some of you, for instance, Chase, if I look at it, we kind of see half a face here. And you want to make sure that you look appropriate, you're dressed appropriately, right? And we have it. Okay. So let me go to my area. Let me go to what's due. What's due is always good to know what is due here. Today is February 5th, and we know that this Wednesday, TG2A is due before the class. It's found under assignments and quizzes, and the adaptive assignment under Wiley Plus is due. Now, what we have is we've done the assignment on Zoom. One of the things that you need to know on Zoom is one of the things that I want to cover with you is we call it an audit area for the reason that we can audit each other. We can see each other's work. And we're doing this as a group. I've randomly assigned you to a group, and your responsibility is not only to do your work, but to look at what other people are doing. You cannot do the work for them, but at least you can give them feedback on what they're missing. So I want each of you to look at each other's links and listen to each other's links. Make sure that the audio is working appropriately, that they're sharing the screen. If you're going to be posting links, put a description underneath the links. 1, it's for yourself, that you know what you've covered in that. 2, it's for me and our TAs to know what you've covered, and also for your other students, also for yourself. A lot of times you don't even remember what you've done. So when you put in a link, it's important that you put a description of what you covered in the link. Of course, no passwords on the recording. If you have a recording that has password protected, you can share without your passwords from the recordings in Zoom. Make sure under your settings from now on, you uncheck the passwords for future recordings and make sure the audio works in your links. Okay. Now, if I go to this under groups, and I go to group 0A with Spencer and Dylan, this is how it should look, right? We talked about it. Dylan and Spencer are a group, both have live streamed. They checked each other's. They said, okay, they put the key points of challenges and solutions. They've gone into the Zoom link and they put in comments. So it's not enough just to put in the link. They put in their comments as well and their group discussion. The second part for your assignment will be screencasting. When you record in Zoom, not everything on your Zoom screen gets recorded. For instance, Luke, when you break out in breakout rooms, does Zoom record your breakout rooms?
So no, it does not.
It does not. Will that be, what's your major, Luke?
I'm a real estate and finance major.
Real estate and finance. So wouldn't it be great that when you have groups that it could be recorded? There's
Yep, that
important,
and the transcripts too.
right, and transcripts. All of that should be recorded. Right now, as Zoom stands, they don't record breakout rooms. Will it change in the future, Luke? Probably. They're always adding additional features, but for right now, it doesn't. So that's one. Also, there's things like on the toolbar and things like that. Zoom doesn't record itself, everything on the screen. You got that, Luke? So what we want to do is find other screencasting recordings software that we can use hand in hand. You can record your Zoom, but also you can turn on another screen recorder where I could say every group in your group, make sure that you're recording yourself. So you have a set. Wouldn't it be great, Luke? You're the team, let's say you're the team leader. We'll make it up. You're your team leader and you want to make sure that you've gotten all the points, gotten all the transcripts done. Wouldn't it be great to have a recording what you've done in your Zoom room?
Totally.
Also, if you were a recorder and you had, let's say, like me, you were like a group leader that had 10 groups, this way you could go and check what it is. Also, later on, you could say, hey, this is a way for us to do attendance and also even class participation. You know, this person never even showed up in those chat rooms. And they
Yeah.
say, oh, I was there. Well, we have some kind of basically a way in which to document it, but not only that, to document, but even to help. This is, we can even say, hey, later on, we can even do an AI that they could look at all the transcripts and find problems.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it
That
be
would
great with the AI finding it? And we could even create like a little chat bot that we could ask it, we could train it and say, hey, when people are having these problems with streaming live to YouTube, we give them, you know, like frequently asked questions, let the bot do it. But the bot
totally.
needs to be trained. I don't want to train it. So we're going to be using then screencasting assignment. So the screencasting assignment that we're going to be doing will look like this. Who attended? Spencer, can you be so kind? Put from last semester what software you used. Did you use
Yeah, I'm
QuickTime?
doing that right now.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's say Dylan and Spencer were in a group, right? They would then do this. Each person would do their own. Each person creates their own individual recording about a software recording program that they use. So in your case, Luke, everybody in your group would choose a different software program. So if somebody choose QuickTime, all the other, let's say three other people would choose different softwares to use. And then each person then, in this case, it's not correct because really what you want is you want the recording to be in the native way in which QuickTime does. But then put in, for instance, what operating system does that software work in? Let's say I had Windows and you had Mac. I know that QuickTime will work on both Windows and Mac. And that's going to be important. Let's say somebody has that to use. What format is it going to be using? It uses MOV. What storage can only store in your own computer? It doesn't store on the cloud. What's the cost? Right? And tell the difference. If there's a free version, if there is a paid version, he says $30. What can you do with the paid version you can't do with the free version? And this is editing the features, formatting. What are the pros? What are the cons? What were the difficulties? He had such a large file, Dylan, that he couldn't upload. It was too big to upload to Blackboard. If that's the case, what Dylan should have done was he could contact researcher, contact Blackboard and ask them, how do I compress a file so I could upload it? But anyways, so this is Dylan. Then after each person does it, then there's a group screen recording exercise where each person does it individually. You get to know do it less than 5 minutes. Just show what is the pros and the cons, talk about this, how do you use it, and then come together as a group, have one person host it in Zoom, and each person in the group discuss briefly what is their software program and show how it works. And this way, during the Zoom, you could then even say, hey, let's go into a couple people, take a poll, or a couple of people go into a breakout room. We can use, for instance, the screencasting software. And then you'll talk about then what was covered, and that's your project. So you can see, Luke, this is kind of like a next step that makes sense. Those things that were lacking in Zoom that now that we really know something that we didn't know before, we can say, hey, we can use the screencasting program. And sometimes I want to use storing on my computer. Sometimes I want it stored on someone else's server. There's advantages and disadvantages, right? Sometimes there's advantages for me to upload. Sometimes there's advantage for me just to do it. And that's why a lot of times you'll see I'll use a number of different ones as backup procedures. So if we go to our regular section, if I look at what is due, basically this goes through the what is due. You have a doc there that explains it. And it's also in the exercises and assignments. Under exercises, you can see it there too. Under exercise, we've done the Zoom, and then now this is the screencasting. This is an overview of it, right? Discuss screencasting programs, advantages and disadvantage individually. This is what you need to put it in. And in a group, recorded in the cloud without a passcode. Make sure that it's all in there and upload. And then it's interesting for you, Luke, in the group to see, you can learn, like, instead of one screencasting, you can learn there's another 3 available. If this doesn't work or this has an advantage over the other one, hey, I want something that records to my computer. I want something that records this one. This only has a limit of 5 minutes. This one has a limit of, to the time limit too. It's good to see. You know, some of them, you know, has ads, some of them don't. Some of them allow me to do 5 minutes, and it may be enough, a 5-minute clip, less than a 5-minute clip. Sometimes to do a lot of things, it's just easier to do short clips. Questions on that assignment? Luke, do you have any questions or anyone else from your chat?
No one in the chat.
Yeah, and notice you see how it goes to the next step? Use what we have and add more to it. Perfect. Okay, so so this is done, and this is due when? This is due, if I look at what's due, this is due a week from today. What I suggest you do is that you can meet together. And if I go to the audit area, right, on groups, you can see in the group then of group 0, they have this part, and then they have the screencasting folder, and you can see here that Spencer had another program there, and then she'll discuss on her own what is this one, and then once she knows that well, she'll be able even to summarize it what she's in the group. You don't want somebody just to pick a program and then when you're recording just to ramble on, I don't know exactly how to use it. They want to be the professional to teach all of you in the group how to use it, but be succinct and share the screens, of course, not just talk about it, you know, when you need to share the screens. So if I looked at it, I go to group 1 here with where we did before, you can already even create. It's great in this case he's already, this group already made a screencasting folder. I suggest everybody have that already, and you have already a match to do it. You can see to the left, I know it's a folder. Look at this. It's like we were born with this stuff, right, Luke? It's like now it's simple. You can even look at it and you know whether it's right or wrong. And now here it's in attended. The only thing that's missing here, Samuel, Aiden, Roberto, and Paige, is attended. Basically, did everybody able to do a Zoom, and also have they audited the other people? So Samuel, you see that? Put it here for each group. Were you able to stream? That's kind of the thing. Were you able to stream on your own? Put that if you were, and then put audited. Just don't say audited, okay. You want to go to each of your group individuals and check to see if those links are working properly. That's what auditing's about. Later on, what would be great is to have the machine do that. What I'm trying to show you, before you train the machine, we need to know how to do it manually. And once we do it manually, a lot of this busy work, I don't want to be doing it. You don't want to be doing it. You want to be able to use, Samuel, your creative mind to do other things. And then basically you would be able to tell the AI, right? Does it have a group tutorial, right? It could look to see, does the audio work well? It could even interpret what was happening there from the voice to text, right? In this video, our group shows various acts of how to basically updated. So we send this group exercise and discussion. And then what I'd like to see too, in this case, and Roberto, have this one basically discuss what he discovered and also put in the link itself rather than embed it here. Actually go to the edit area just like you did, Samuel, and show where the Zoom recording was and where the YouTube was, right? So you want to give him feedback, Samuel, follow my lead and do both of those. And then there's an error, and then this is good. Paige said these are the errors that I got. And this was the MP4 place that she had done that. And at least you know that this part, I had issues live streaming. We want to write, we can correct the English here, saying that my account was blocked, though YouTube was verified to live stream. So you may even want to check again, Aiden and Paige, and see has it changed any? Right, as an update. And then what I would do, I would get in the habit of putting dates. Right now we don't, but it'd be a good idea to have the date. So if I look on my groups here, let me just go back. That in the next one, in the screencasting folder, everybody see that? Let's get in the habit of putting dates here. You see that, Sam? You also, and later on, guess what? Have the computer set the date. Does the computer know its own time and date? Of course it does. And then what we could do, we could practice. Even in this case, Samuel, you could even put the date and the time, right? That's really, if you wanted to be a good auditor, put the date and the time someone did it. And then when they do the second round and said, don't delete what you have, just like in auditing, you don't want to start having people erasing their entries. You want to do adjusting entries, right? You want to make sure that they've done it. That's the same thing. So you see in 910, Melnick did it here. In 911, it was here. And Spencer in 910 was here. And then if she has to go a second time, she'll put in 913. And it'd be even good in terms of put in times. So everybody see that? Luke, you see that too? To make sure that everybody puts the date in here. And why is that important? When was the last time I did it? I think we did it. And the update, we don't even want to erase what we've done before.
Yeah, you can track when and what was going on.
What was the problem? Then you as a supervisor, and then you can train the AI to pick some of this up. The AI can put in the date and time. I don't have to look, right? And because the computer has that already. But in order for us even to train that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be training the AI, right? To have to do our own automation. We have to know how to do it manually and do that. And later on, all that tedious stuff, you don't have to do it, but the auditing. And when the auditing comes in, will the computer make mistakes? Of course they will. Right, Jerry? They're going to make mistakes all the time. And then you're able to edit it, but at least you have it, some sense of what happened. And then will it learn? Yes, the computer will learn and get better, just like we are. Once we did the first round, right? Did you see how much better, Luke, now it looks, your work, right? Because we
Totally.
reiterated.
Yeah. Every time it gets a little better.
Right. And you could become more comfortable with it too. Then you almost can teach. And that's how this class is. It's not just one time only, but we're learning around it. And if you don't want to do that, a continuous learning, this is not the course for you. Because other people say, I give a test, I give quizzes, and that's it. And we summarize, and that's it. Here, it's all the time. We're going to be doing exercises every week. And it's not going to always work, right? But what do you now know to do? You get stuck, Luke? You tell your group, what should you do? Screencast, and we'll see where the problem is, right? Because sometimes just to say you have a problem and go to Spencer, she may, number one, you have to be specific so she can be able to help. Number one. Number two, it may be beyond her control. And then she'll say, Dr. Rush, do you see this problem? And I said, it's beyond my control too. It seems like it's a server problem or it's a Wiley problem. And we found out you have to use another browser. You know, they didn't tell, or whatever it is, you've documented. Perfect. Okay, so this is the idea. So if we look at any of the groups then, right, if I go to group 2, right, and I look at it, now I know they've done this. They know that everybody needs to complete this by Wednesday. All of this, just having your names there, you've checked it. And then if I go to the Zoom individuals here, that's already, I just have, Carla seems to be the only one who did an individual one. And Kayla, are you there? I'm sorry, I called you Carla.
Yes. No, it's
Good.
fine.
Kayla, you did a great job, but what do you want to do? You want to add what was involved in this move, right? And what was involved in YouTube? And why was this not done in Zoom?
Oh, it was. I screen recorded to like show the functions being done.
Perfect. So write that.
Okay.
Put this right here in the individual exercise. Write that, and write in here in the exercise who was there. Were you by yourself?
I'm sorry. No, it was all of us.
Okay, so then
the second part.
What's in here?
The second part,
go ahead.
Oh, the second part I did it, but we did like the group one as a whole.
Okay, so just subscribe it. And here you see the 6 minutes. Be great to know the date, but next time you'll do, if you remember the date, you did it, put it in now. You can edit that.
Okay.
Okay. And then edit, and even on that part, Kayla, is you can say when you go next to those people that the individual was not done. You audited and there was nothing there. That you've at least audited. If they need your help, they can come to you, Kayla, but you can't do their work, right? But if they need, that's the beauty here, that you got it. You should get credit for it, but then you reach out to them and say, is there something that you need from me? They can watch yours, plus at least they can see that you've done it. And they haven't, see what is the reason why they didn't do it. Okay, great. Any questions? So all of this should be done then, right? If I look at it, and everybody can view everyone's, right? So basically, you know then that Samuel's done it well. What group are you, Luke, that we can look?
I'm group 9.
Group 9. So if we go down to group 9, we can know already here, see, was able to, group live stream, right, was able to do those. And then next to these, what does he have to do? But all Luke, Henry, and James have to make sure that they've audited each other. And just don't put audit okay, right? You want to actually check to make sure that you've done it, because if you write just audit okay and there's problems, that's not good too. So basically the same thing, and you can tell them. So Henry needs in this one, what? Some descriptions. But otherwise, and even Luke, I would do, what did you cover here? Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a
Yeah,
description.
no, but it's no big shakes, right? You can do that, but now it'll even get better.
Yeah.
Because now you remember, who needs to even remember that? I have no idea what you did, plus no, even yourself.
Yeah,
Who can
and
remember
my
after we're going to be
group.
doing so many recordings? Who needs, and why do you even want to waste your time remembering? Right? And then later on, you want the computer to do it.
Yeah.
And then here, this group streamed together. What was going on here?
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Important.
And that doesn't it make sense? Why not get it? And then later
Yeah.
on, you can use it as your portfolio, Luke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are things that I know how to do. I know how to manage groups in a hybrid faction. And these
Totally.
are the types of things. And you could even give those tasks that I'm sure hundreds of others when you meet. Do you know how to do a poll? Do you know how to do breakout session? Do you know how to live stream? And they'll be just like you were, a few weeks ago. Have no clue.
Yeah.
It's already skills you have. And in confidence. Okay. So the other part in which we need to do is, so that is due, we know, Monday. So what I suggest you do is meet together a group and do 2 for 1, right? Figure out how you can improve your Zoom, and also meet and have at least everybody choose a different screencasting program, and then you can meet and record it and then meet together to do a Zoom and have it done by Monday and have it documented. Not a big shakes. Each recording is less than 5 minutes for this, and then you want to show the positives, the pros and the cons of each of those. And then you can come and somebody says, which screen recorders do I want? You say, well, I use this one, but I heard that there's also Loom, and there's also, I haven't used them personally, but here's a video to show you. Okay, so we got that part. And then what we have then is under assignments and documents, I've told you before, is that if I go to the 9th edition, PowerPoint 9th edition, they are PowerPoints here. So let me go over. I have chapter 1, which kind of like was the overview of what is information systems. TG1, which is the Tech Guide 1, talks about hardware, and TG2, that is due on Wednesday, talks about software. I'll cover what talks about software on Wednesday, but today I want to talk about, you can download this if you'd like. And this file, this is great, Kayla. This file, Rainer 9E PowerPoint TG01 final, that resides where? This file right here that I see that you have access to resides where? Where is that file? Do you understand the question, Kayla?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Do you see this little hand?
Mm-hmm.
That's a file. And normally, what would you do? You'd click on it and you download it. So my question to you is, where does it originate, that file? Where does it originate?
Like under what tab or what application?
Where? Yeah, where does it reside?
Oh,
what do you think?
From
Go ahead.
PowerPoint?
It's in PowerPoint. Where does it reside? Samuel, where do you think it resides?
The PowerPoints and documents.
Yeah, where? And where is it stored?
In the assignment, or the PowerPoints and documents in Blackboard on the regular.
And where is that stored? Yeah, you got the place in Blackboard where it's lit, and that's what Kayla was wanting to do. Yes, it's under PPT documents, PPT 9th edition. And I'm not saying physically, where is it stored? Where do you think? We don't know, right? But physically, where do you think it's stored?
In the cloud, maybe.
And what does that mean? You're right, in the cloud, but what does that really mean?
And some server and some random
in the server of who? Wherever Blackboard is, right? We don't know if, and in this case, it used to be the University of Miami used to store Blackboard on its own computers. That's why they call them the servers. What does the server mean? It's another computer that serves to a number of different people. Blackboard, the University of Miami says, you know, we don't want to mess with that. We have enough problems. Let another company store it and let another company do it. And they've gotten Blackboard. So it is stored. When we say it is great, when we say it's stored in the cloud, what does that actually mean? We can get access to it via a browser. And it's basically stored in another computer that we don't have control over. You with me, Samuel? Now, if you click on it, what happens?
It'll download from the server onto your computer.
Beautiful. It downloads. It's like we rehearsed it, Samuel. It downloads from the server that's located, I don't know where, right? Blackboard doesn't tell me, but it's downloaded in Blackboard server somewhere. Let's say Washington, D.C., let's say wherever. I gain access and you gain access via browser, and it comes down to your computer, which a lot of times we call it on premise, onto the computer. And where is it stored? When you click it, where does it go?
Well, usually it goes in the downloads folder, but I move
Okay,
it to
beautiful.
OneDrive.
It's like we rehearsed this so well. We sound almost we're fluent. Everybody understand, Kayla? You understand? When we click on it, and you all know it, it gets downloaded to your downloads folder that resides where? Usually on a hard drive in your computer. Once it's there, you want to run that PowerPoint, right? I downloaded it. Let me just show you. If I download it and I go to my downloads, you can see here, for instance, I have, you see this? Rainer E PPT. Down in my download subdirectory. And where's that download subdirectory? It's on my hard drive. My hard drive is called secondary storage. If I want now, Kayla, to run this program, can I run it from my hard drive?
Yes.
What do you think, Samuel?
Sorry, I was looking up what primary storage is. Could you repeat the question?
Yes. My question is to everyone. I see it in my downloads. If I click on it and you click on it, it will take a copy from my secondary storage and bring it into primary storage. And primary storage is called RAM, random access memory. So Kayla, how you can summarize that is whenever you're actually using a file and you want to put it into, let's say, PowerPoint, or you have a file and you're gonna manipulate it through Excel or through Word, you never run it, execute it on your secondary storage. The operating system makes a copy of it and brings it into RAM. It brings it, Samuel, into your primary storage. You just don't pay attention to it. The operating system will do that to you. And
sorry.
Go ahead.
Just to confirm, so like secondary storage would be like on the hard drive or like on a flash drive or something. And then primary is when it's on your running through RAM, I guess.
Yes. So when I think about it, so that's what's key in this chapter. So when I look at this chapter, right now, I am running this PowerPoint, Samuel, in my RAM. Random access memory is volatile. That means it can, if I lose electricity and this hasn't been saved, and I make changes, right, to it, I make changes to this and it's not automatically saved all the time, I will lose that information. Now, sometimes software, what it does is you'll see that it does an auto-save every so often. That auto-save is because it knows that that is RAM. So when I think about this, what's the most important here? You see here, primary storage memory and secondary storage. You need to know the difference, and you know it, Sam, and everyone else does it. It's just you don't think about it in those terms. So what it is, if you even look on these slides, you can see the way I have it. They even have some little notes there that primary storage temporarily stores the data and program instructions during processing. So we're processing this now, it's in memory. And a lot of times part of memory we'll talk about, but the main part of memory we'll talk about a lot of times is RAM, random access memory. And secondary storage stores data and programs for future use. So anytime, Kayla, I see the download subdirectory, that's part of my secondary storage. That could be my hard drive, just like Samuel said. That could even be any other way in which I'm saving my programs and my data. Some of my programs basically reside in the cloud, but then when I'm using it, part of that program gets downloaded because I need internet access, gets downloaded to where? My RAM. So you can see in this case, you know, of course, we have rapid performance. We're always reducing. We're always getting faster machines, right? At the same cost or less. We need hardware. And then there's something called BYOD, bring your own device to computers. And then basically you can see there's a computer hierarchy here. But what I want to point out to you is this part. Once I go into RAM, let me just show you this. Inputs come into the CPU from random access memory. So once I get it put into RAM, then this is the part in where it does the processing. So Sam, if I thought about Excel, it does what? Arithmetic operations, or I think about an accounting system, it does arithmetic operations. It basically takes my data from my secondary storage into my random access memory, and then my CPU is like the brains of the computer. My data is being charged, and if I look at this, and let me do my slide, show that everybody can see this a bit better from the current slide. You can see here, look at this. Input, let's say I input this, I'm typing or something, I can input, I can print out something, I can output, I can go to other communication devices, but look at this down in the bottom here. Secondary storage, and notice this has input 1 arrow, output has 1 arrow out. Look at secondary storage, Kayla. Why does it have 2? Because sometimes when I'm in main RAM and I'm dealing with it, I make changes, I want to save it to secondary storage. When I have it stored in secondary storage, I want to use it, it goes to primary storage, main memory, or what we call RAM, random access memory. And then once it's here, then I want to process it. And how does it process it? Well, basically, this possible unit here is the arithmetic logic unit. And what does that actually mean? Arithmetic, plus, minus, right? Logic, one is greater than another. If I want to sort, how do I sort? Numbers, right? I can sort descending, ascending, alphabetical, ascending, descending, arithmetic. And then I have my registers here that can save little bits of data, my control unit that will control all of this. But this is the key. Don't have to worry about it. But you see here, this is where all the executions take place. And of course, look at this word, store. Where do I want to store it? Right? It's going to store back to primary storage. And then when I want to save it, I want to make sure it saves to my secondary. And then we have Moore's law that's basically, this has been outdated already, almost Moore's law that every so often it's going to be doubling my processing and then my memory capacity, my primary, let me just go back up here. So if I were to ask then the question, Liam, what has more storage usually, my primary storage or my secondary? I know my primary storage is then my RAM, my secondary storage is then like my hard drive. What is larger, my primary or my secondary?
Definitely secondary.
Secondary. And the question I have for you all for next time that we meet is whether you have a Mac or a PC, is find out how much primary storage, RAM, and secondary storage one has. You have. Everybody see that? Audrey, how much RAM do you have on your machine? And how much secondary storage you have on your machine? How do you find that out? You can just, if you don't know, by looking at about in your Mac and about my PC, is that you can Google it, right? Or you can do ChatGPT or any other way of finding how much I have. And the question is, who cares? You care, because if we're going to be doing some fintech work, right, Chase? If we're going to be doing some fintech work, we probably want more RAM than less RAM, right? What's your major, Chase? Chase Michael, what's your major? Did you hear me? What do you think, Joseph? Do I want more RAM or less RAM if I'm going to be doing heavy duty calculations?
More RAM?
More RAM. Because what basically, if I don't have enough RAM, you'll just take parts of the program and have to like interchange it back and forth. And sometimes it's just not even enough. It'll come back and say, have you ever seen, like, can you open up more
Sorry,
than
Dr.
one
Rush.
application? It becomes real slow.
Dr. Rush, yeah, I was having some technical difficulties. I didn't realize you were calling on it.
Fine. So in this case here, thanks, Chase. So in this case here, we want to see here is find out, and let me know for next time, how much primary storage or RAM do you have? And basically, if we're going to do some Chase, what is your major?
I'm a finance major.
Finance. And when we do some fintech and we start doing trading strategies, of course, we're going to need a lot of RAM, right? Will our machines be capable? And maybe we need to use others and our secondary storage. And then what our computer, basically how I do my computer memory, is this the hierarchy of computer memory? Some of this may be repeating, some of you it may be new, but basically the computer has how it's been for ages is basically just 0 and 1. And basically a byte, this is a bit, and a byte is usually 8 bits. So that means if I look at Luke, your name, which Luke has 4 bytes to it, maybe the L is a combination of different versions of zeros and ones. And that's how the computer understands it, can do it quite quickly and to do it. And then you can think about it. Kilobyte is approximately 1,000. Basically, a megabyte then is 1,000,000. A gigabyte basically is 1,000,000,000, and so forth. And you can see that what are we getting in terms of memory? We're always increasing that. And have you ever heard in this case, Luke, have you ever heard that now they have something called quantum computing?
I have never heard of that, no.
So they have something where it's basically IBM and some folks in different countries are developing these computers, very high-end physics, where this 0 and 1 is kind of like almost a range. And it's so incredible. It's still in the very, very beginning stages. But if you think about cracking passwords of 16 characters where they say it could take years to crack passwords, this can do it in a few minutes. I mean, it's scary in that sense, but think about if you need to do personalized medicine, all your genomes and all your personalizations of it. But what they have done now is they have something called GPUs, of graphical processor units, instead of CPUs and graphics, that they're using it quite a bit for AI. Because does AI need a lot of computing power? Of course it does, to be so quickly to be able to know what's happening. So we'll be able to do that. So you can see here the computer memory is also through the memory capacity and the hierarchy, how it goes. And here, when I deal with primary storage, now it starts, Samuel, if I look at it, it now starts to make sense that primary storage is AKA main memory. And the 4 types of primary storage, I have registers and cache. Cache is like, have you ever typed something in Google and then as you're typing, it's coming up something? It almost has some things in cache that's quite quick. And in this case, you can see here the random memory means it volatile. It means it shuts off when the computer is down. It's not stable. In read-only memory, that comes from the manufacturer. It puts a little bit of instructions into your computer chip, and then in that computer memory there that gives instructions. And who takes care of all of this to go back and forth is the operating system that we'll be talking about next time when we meet. So in this case, here on the main ways here, you can see here are the registers, the cache memory, that's a type of high-speed memory that stores blocks of data that are used often. And then we have the RAM, that holds the software program and small amounts of data processing. So if my RAM isn't that large, and I'm in a large spreadsheet, sometimes what it does, it'll take longer and it'll take parts of my data and bring it back and forth to be able to do that. And what would I rather have it to take a large chunk to be able to do the data? And sometimes software says it requires so much RAM. It requires 64 gig or 32 gig. And then this is secondary storage, like the optical drives, the thumb drives. And you can see too here that primary storage, usually I get less of it. It costs more, but all these prices are going down as well. But I need this in order to operate my computer. And of course, I need secondary storage to do my parts. And I don't want to save it. Okay. So Luke, did that help?
Yes, definitely.
So even though you read through it, what I like to do is concentrate on those things that I think that are more difficult areas. You can read, and I expect you to read.
Yeah.
What I try to do is focus on things that are a little bit confusing, but you see that in some ways it's just you're using it in other terms.
Yeah, you
but
can clear it up a little bit.
Yeah, clearing. Yeah. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's also boring reading this by yourself, and you don't know there's so much there, you don't even know what to concentrate on, But that's why and then ask me if you're having those issues. But that's what I want to emphasize to you. Questions? Kayla, did that help? Now and you know what I always say, Kayla? It's easy when you know it. Once you know it, it's like nothing. Now, if I asked you about primary RAM and secondary, you know it now. You kind of knew it before, but it was a little bit vague. You thought, Samuel, you ran it from the hard drive, but you know that it's loading, and when you have a lot of apps open, it gets slower. Why? Because there's really not that much room in that RAM. And sometimes, usually it's best if you're going to be that owners, you tell your folks, hey, we're going to do some fintech, we're going to do some forecasting, we're going to need to upgrade our computers, and especially let's get as much RAM as we possibly can. Or we use cloud services and let them do the processing, and they'll have more RAM when we use in the cloud some processing. And that's what people are doing now. Not even using their own machines, they're processing it in the cloud and getting the answers back. Questions? So those, Spencer, what do I need to deal with? Nothing? I just can go to the beach now? It's not a good day for the beach. Okay. All right, guys. So I need to do attendance. Stay with me if you have questions. You can reach out to Spencer. Everybody now knows, Luke, you know what you want to do for Wednesday is to improve what you have. Those of you that have kind of been flagging along, that ain't going to continue in this class. Either you pull your weight, right? We don't want to leave it just to a few, right? And then stay with me and we'll do that. Anything else? So let me do attendance. Stay with me for attendance. And the next time we'll talk about the same thing, Luke, as I'll emphasize those things about the software that I think will clarify.
Perfect. Sounds great.
You know what I mean? And that's how we'll proceed. Because I don't want to spend so much time, Luke, in the beginning, I spent a lot of time, how do you get it right? But later on with the exercises, you can audit yourself. I don't need to audit you, right? You can just as well. I don't have to go through and say, this is missing, this is missing. You figure it out. And just even like Zach was telling me before, right, Zach? You can view other people's work, right? You can see what needs to be done. Nobody's stupid here. You know what I mean? We got a smart class here. You can see what you need to do and then reach out. Okay, great. So let's share the screen. Let me go to attendance. Hopefully. Let me go to check-in. Start check-in. 6304. We finished check-in. If you need to see me for any reason, be my guest. Otherwise, we'll see each other in a couple of days. And once we get the screencasting, we'll go on to the next exercise. So we bring to life. You see that, Kayla? We bring to life what we're doing rather than, to me, it's kind of boring just to learn the facts. Let's get some skills here, right? It can be frustrating, right, Kayla? Not knowing, but that's what I want to throw you into is saying, hey, it's not always going to work. So you have the second time, but you document what you got. And then you gain confidence, right? And then you won't be the deer in the headlights. You'll be kind of the leader, Kayla, of helping others. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect one. Okay, stay with me if you have problems. Otherwise,
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day.
my pleasure. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And Spencer, if you can just stay with me a minute or two. And Audria, what's up? Six 6304. Does everybody have
Sorry,
that?
get my thing unmuted. Wait,
Okay.
I'm staying because I had a question about our group exercise when we're gonna get feedback on it.
We're gonna get feedback on it. You wanna hold on, let me just end checking. Does everybody have it? Arnold and Patrick, you have the number here. Liam, let me just go through here. Let me just stop sharing. 6304.
Yeah, I have a
Okay, what would
question.
you like? What did you want? Did you want feedback from me or you want to know when it's graded?
Like, is it graded individually or
It's both.
like the
You'll
whole
be
group?
getting a grade individually, yeah, and as a group. You'll have a
'Cause
group.
I had some issue with like
You had
my
what?
group. Can you
I can't
hear
hear you.
me?
No, you're breaking up.
Oh,
Let me just see here. Do you want, let me just stop recording, okay?